if you don't feel challenged, if you don't feel excited, if you feel lazy, if you're distracted, it feels like you're not getting things done the way that you've been used to getting them done. All of those are symptoms that it's time for you to expand. The nice thing about it is if you have a mentality of expansion, you don't feel those things too often. In fact, you feel the other thing, which is the discomfort of the growth and the discomfort of the expansion.
Welcome back, everyone, to the From Crisis to Justice podcast. I'm your host, Parag Amin, and today I'm joined by two very special guests, Paul and Letitia Montelongo. Paul and Letitia are seasoned investors, business owners, and real estate investors. Together, they've built, owned, and operated multiple successful ventures, generating over $150 million in revenue and have employed over 1,000 people. Recently, they've expanded their focus to include their new brand, High Velocity Couples. And the mission there is to redefine how entrepreneurial couples integrate their personal and professional lives. They help guide entrepreneurial couples to achieve greatness and transformation by fostering a harmonious and high-performing partnership at home and in business. Thank you both so much for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Glad to be here with you.
Yes, we're very excited to be on your show.
Yeah, and listen, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you guys are running in between a couple meetings, and so appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today.
You bet.
Yeah, most of our appointments are done in the car, so we thought we'd just show you where we're at most of the time. Out looking for deals.
Mobile office.
There we go.
Investors.
It's like the Lincoln Lawyer, but like the Lincoln Investors,
Exactly. Hey, there's a good one right there. Yeah, no, we've closed a lot of deals on the road.
Boom. Love it. Got to keep moving. So, tell us a little bit about what you two think are some of the keys to being a successful entrepreneur.
I think at this point in my life, the standard is longevity, and it's years and years of being in the game, years and years of being an entrepreneur, and moving from one venture to the next, and moving from one opportunity to the next, and always seeking opportunities, and being fluid, not getting outside of your skill sets, unless you want to develop some new skill sets, but staying in your skill set, staying in your path that way, but always looking for opportunities within that path. And I think after a while, you pick up traction, you pick up experience, you gain a reputation, you have a degree of wisdom. And so at this point in our lives, that seems to be the real secret sauce to being, to doing what we do as entrepreneurs. Yeah.
I would agree. And I think lots of consistency, right? Just being consistent every day in what you're doing and never giving up, and regardless of how hard it is, because there's so many bumps in the road on everyone's journey, right? So just really being consistent and being very much able to come back from any of those bumps in the roads. Just staying on your path. So that's what's worked for us.
Okay, good. So let me ask you this. With Paul, one of your quotes is, "Leaving the comfort of your past fuels the excitement of your future." So how does somebody know when it's time to leave the comfort of the past and make room or make a change for something new?
If you don't feel challenged, if you don't feel excited, if you feel lazy, if you're distracted, if you're, it feels like you're not getting things done the way that you've been used to getting them done, all of those are symptoms that it's time for you to expand. And the nice thing about it is if you have a mentality of expansion, you don't feel those things too often. In fact, you feel the other thing, which is the discomfort of the growth and the discomfort of the expansion. So if you're in a place of, and I don't mean painful, but I mean like it's just something's gnawing at you that you've got to remedy, then that's a sign. To me, that's a symptom that it's time to grow. It's time to move into something and expand. Even if you're doing the exact same thing that you've been doing for years, but there's a little different way to do it, or there's a new technology or new network, or some little nuance that's different, that is a sign to expand, to grow.
Yeah, and if you have businesses today with the changes and all of the AI tools out there, you better be looking for areas to change, right? Because everyone else is out there doing the same business you're doing, but they're going to move ahead of you if you don't start looking at everything that is available to you and the new technology that is growing every day. So we even see that in our business now.
If you
Yeah, I
say,
agree.
if you tell somebody that you can do that in your sleep, whatever it is, your skill set, oh, I can do that in my sleep. It's probably time to grow,
Hmm.
look for something
Yeah,
new,
and
expanding.
and so there's yeah, go ahead.
That's it.
So in terms of the game, there's a couple different ways to do it. One, you could play the same game in a bigger way, or you could completely change the game. So do you suggest that entrepreneurs look at the future of the current game they're playing to see what that future is and if they're excited about it, or do you suggest that they look at it differently, and if so, how?
I would say if you are, so we're commercial real estate investors, right? So we invest in multifamily properties, and we've just started looking at storage. We're building a 500 unit storage in San Antonio. We're like a year and a half into it. We've bought the property. We're doing all of the engineering. We just received our permit, so we should have a shovel in the ground in December. That's something that we decided a couple of years ago. Multifamily is a great place to put your money, but it has its ups and downs right in the marketplace. So we thought, let's be safe and diversify our portfolio. Well, since then, we've learned so much more from going to conferences and just meeting and looking and seeing what other people are doing, that we are continuing to change our mindset around what we should be putting our money in. We will always put it in real estate, but we also have been looking at other things, oil and gas investing. We're looking at buying different businesses now. A lot of that's due to the fact that there's so many baby boomers that'll be retiring, selling their businesses. And there are huge opportunities to go in and buy these businesses at a significant reduction and really put technology in there so that you can maximize your returns on them. So we're always looking for the next big thing, but always keeping real estate as our core piece so that we can continue to receive cash flow on that and seeing what else is out there.
We,
Yeah. So
as, yeah, as entrepreneurs, we're real estate is our vehicle, but we are actually, when we buy an apartment complex or a storage complex, we are actually buying someone's business. So we're buying another business, and we're renovating that business to fit our style and our methodology of doing business. So being an entrepreneur is an identity. It is a title, but it's also an identity. And if you consider yourself a real, true entrepreneur, then you're always in search for the business, the thing that you can grow, you can put your imprint on, the thing that can help a community or employ people, something that you can create value with or out of. That's being an entrepreneur.
yeah, and part of that, a big part of entrepreneurship is building the right teams and having the right people around you, especially in terms of guidance for areas you might not have dealt with before. So, for example, just diving a little bit deeper into the storage project that you two are working on. Is this the first storage building you two have built?
It is, yeah. And so what we've done with that is that we have put a person on our general partnership team that has existing self storage. So we're looking at someone who's already done this before. It will be a great benefit to their portfolio, but it's also going to help us on the experience side. So as we start this project and get through it, if we do have any bumps in the road, it's not like we're starting out by ourselves, right? We have somebody on the team that can troubleshoot anything with us on that. So, and that's what we kind of look at. We look at people that we can grow with. And we also look at people who have really great skill sets that we can leverage along the way.
Yeah, and to that point, the right people can make or break your business. And so, what guidance do you have for entrepreneurs, to our listeners, about how to surround yourself with the right people?
I would say, you want to talk about
Yeah,
it?
go
Yeah,
ahead.
I would say how we did is we first make sure that they have the same core values that we have as just people, right? We want them to be hardworking, loving, easygoing. We want them to work really hard, but we really want them to have like the things that you would just think people would normally have, but people don't always look for this in other people. So we want them to be honest and trustworthy and have great family values and are very much like we are and kind of like to do the same things we do, because we work a lot, but we also play a lot. So we like to blend those two together. So we really like people that just kind of want to do stuff with us, go on vacations, kind of have a work-life balance. If you're working all the time, it's great to be around people that have similar interests. So we look for those things.
Yeah. We're going to be around these people for a long time, so we've got to like them. And they've got to like us, or at least we think they like us.
Yeah, it's funny. So we made like a very conscious decision 2 years ago. You only have to go through this one time and with people that are not like you for you to decide, like, yeah, if I'm ever doing this again, I'm going to pick people that I like and that are fun to be around, because work should be really fun. So yeah, that we did make a conscious decision 2 years ago that if we don't like somebody and we don't care how much money we could make with them, we're not going to go into business with them.
Yeah, and the other thing is too, to add to that from a technical perspective, is what skill sets do they have that can complement our skill sets? Because we don't know everything. She mentioned the partner that we have that is helping us with the storage. There's a man who has inside information about the particular asset class that we're moving into. Great. So that to me, that's being an entrepreneur. There have been many, many successful, very successful entrepreneurs who've written about it, and they've been interviewed, and their main thing is hire people that are smarter than you, hire people that know something different than you. And that's really, really true. And that helps you move the ball down the field that much quicker.
Yeah, and part of it is there's also the distinction between bringing on a partner, somebody who's got equity in the company, versus hiring for the talent. What are your thoughts on how you know that you should partner with somebody versus simply hiring the help and hiring the talent?
Well, the hiring piece comes in when you have systems and processes, methodologies that need to be implemented. The partnering, the equity, the skin in the game comes in with someone who's going to hold themselves equally as responsible or proportionally as responsible as you are in the transaction. So something goes wrong. So she alluded to it a minute ago. We've had a couple of partners here and there that really weren't all in with us. And when it came time, when the house was on fire, so to speak, they weren't there. We were standing alone in whatever storm it was that we were experiencing at the time. So they weren't in the foxhole with us, right? So the difference between the two is your partners have emotional skin in the game as well as financial skin in the game, and they bear the same responsibility as we do for the projects that we do. Those are the people that we really like. It's like there's no competition within. It's like we're moving forward to handle this situation, whatever the situation is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'd like to open that box a little bit about the decision that you made a couple years ago about working with people that you believe that you would enjoy being around. And was that decision based on something, a partnership or a business deal that had gone south, and then it was a hard learned lesson?
Well, it was based on a partnership that when a certain event got really, really tough, they weren't there. And they literally didn't even show up. No meeters or
not
anything.
Even on the conference calls.
Not conference calls,
like,
no meetings
what
or
happened?
anything. We begged and pleaded, and I remember being, at a certain place and just imploring this individual, you've got to, you got to pull your weight. And so that choice, by the way, is on me. And so I made that decision. So, that's my learning curve. And so and this is not, I've been in business a very long time, and I've had the majority of the partners and collaborations that I've had have been great, like by far the majority, but there's an occasional one or two here and there. And if I look at what's common, I am the common denominator. And so there was something that I didn't want to face, or something that I didn't want to look at the time, that made me choose this individual. And so, I paid the price, and I don't mind saying that, because that helps me refine the next decision.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about it. So when you look at a situation like that, you're like, how did we get into this? Okay, we wanted to do a deal. This was the person we were doing the deal with. If we would have thought about it, right, instead of just we want this deal so bad, right? We now are like, we don't really care about the deals. That's not the most important thing to us. The most important thing is like that we are very happy and that we have great deals, but that we're doing them with people that we like. And that has been a huge game changer for us. Like, we're just happier, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a thing we don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
So,
And who cares if you work 60 hours a week? It's with people that you like, right? And the more success that you have with that, then the more you want to continue to grow, because everybody's having a great time, right? And that's kind of how our retreat has come to be too. We're having a retreat in November, and we had our first one last year, and it started being like, we're doing these great things. We're doing a lot of education on what we're doing, and people are starting to become aligned with us. And because we say things like, we want to work with people that are similar to us, we value people who are trustworthy and honest and hard workers, then what do you know? The next thing you turn around, there's a whole bunch of people like that want to work with you, because they want to work with people like us too. And so we've created this cool ecosystem of really go-getter people that want to succeed, that want to work really hard, that kind of put family first. And so that has kind of evolved into our retreats that we're having. So it's been great.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, as they say, that your vibe attracts your tribe, and so I'm glad that things are working out with better partners. If I can, with mining some of the lessons you could have maybe seen ahead of time with the partner that didn't work out. I don't like to ask the question, well, what would you have done then if you knew then what you know now? Because I think it's an unfair question, because you didn't know then what you know now. There's maybe the opportunity of you could have maybe learned what you know now then, and so, but that's a different question, which is, what could I have done then to learn what I know now? But were there any red flags or maybe yellow flags or signs that you think that you could or should have spotted at that point that would have indicated to you at a very early stage before you got into this business deal with this person that maybe this person isn't the right fit for me? Maybe this person won't show up in times of need or when things get hard?
I think just vocalizing like, this is what we're going to do. Because before, like, if you're doing a deal and you meet people on different calls and they're invited to different events, you usually just don't say, yeah, I didn't get a good vibe from him. But if you do, you're just like, yeah, that guy wasn't all that great, but man, he has this to offer. But if you've had it, then you've like, now I'm setting the intention that I'm never going to do this again unless I'm 100% good with this person. You've already created like a rule for your company, right? Whereas before, it's just like, you would, in retrospect, you would have said, oh man, I should have listened to my gut on that one, right? But if you make it part of your business plan and part of how you do business is, I don't do that, then the minute that you had that conversation with them, you'd have went, yep, I'm not doing that, because we've written this down in our business plan that we're not doing business with people like that. So I think it's just the awareness more than anything else.
I've said this on other podcasts, and that is, if you will just listen to what people say, they will tell you everything you need to know about them.
Yeah.
So rather than me trying to think about how I'm going to respond or rebut what you're saying or jump in on you or offer my opinion, if I just listen and listen with intuition and intention, you'll let me know everything that I need to know about you. 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, I'll get it, right? And then you respond to your wisdom, and you respond to your intuition. And it's funny, when I look back on, I'm thinking now, you've got me thinking like maybe of 3 situations in my career, right? And I'm thinking, I knew, I just ignored, I knew. And so I had a learning experience, right? Yeah.
100%. And part of it, I think, is many times we do have that intuitive sense if something is off, but then the logical brain will try to justify it
Right.
and say, well, this is a potentially great deal. If everything works out, this could open up new opportunities for me. It could be both. it could take me and my business to the next level if everything works out. So you ignore that intuition and you kind of roll the dice despite the intuition based on some potential future payoff.
Right. Here's the interesting that develops. And that is when you refine that part of your intuition, the part that makes you step away from someone or something. When you refine that, it actually sharpens your intuition from the other way, where you take quicker action. Oh, that's a great opportunity. Oh, that's a great individual. Oh, that human is a good human. Oh, that that deal is a good deal. So when you've sharpened your insights from negative, or from learning experiences, your insights for the positive things are that much quicker and that much sharper. You can pull the trigger much quicker. And as a business person, so much of what we do is about timing and taking advantage of opportunities when they're set in front of you.
Yeah. And so as it relates to intuition and trusting your gut, are you saying that the more you trust yourself and the decision you're making, the faster your decisions become and the better your decisions become? Or are you saying
Absolutely.
something differently?
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. 100%. 100%. It's a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets.
And sometimes you just say no faster, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you can
that's
get
true
on to
too.
another deal.
Yeah.
And our opinion of that is like there's 300 million people out here in the world. There's plenty
In
of
the
people to do
States.
business with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in the States, yeah. So there's plenty of people. So
Yeah.
we are good.
Right. And so let me ask you this because a big part of business, yes, is intuition, obviously making the right decisions, far more than the wrong decisions, balancing your downside with the potential upside. But there's also a big component of being able to see your blind spots. So a good partner, whether it's a romantic partner or a business partner, can help you spot your blind spots, but also reading, learning, that kind of thing. So what are your thoughts on balancing your intuition with, hey, maybe it's just a blind spot that I haven't seen yet, and I'm so confident that I'm right that I might be missing a blind spot?
Well, blind spots are a blind spot for me.
Blind. Sorry,
It's as
blind.
honest as it gets.
Not
but
everybody's perfect.
but okay, so there's a blend here between confidence and egotism, and so
Yeah.
confidence is developed uh, with a lot of the mixture of successes and failures. So that's where your confidence is developed. But yes, do you have to be in constant search of who you are, what motivates you, your values? Yes, I believe so. I mean, that's the age old question, answering the age old question of why are we here? So we are here to do or be whatever your definition is. And so in defining that, you're always in, evaluating, did I treat that person correctly? Was that situation the best that it could have been? Did I respond to it the best that I could have? Could I have changed something else? Could we have done something totally different to achieve a totally different outcome? The, the evaluate, okay, back up one step. If you own a flower shop over here on Broadway Street, you're always evaluating how to sell more flowers. So you're always in the evaluation phase. Well, the same thing is with us as individuals. We should always be in the evaluation stage, I think, of our personality and our way of being.
I love that. And so as you two are working together, being together and that's something that I think a lot of couples either strive to do or others say, look, that I could never make that work. It would just be too challenging. So what are your thoughts on should all couples work together and what are some of the signs that they should or shouldn't?
I think that people should do what they want to do. Yeah. When we very first started working together, it wasn't super easy. We've only been married 5 years. So when we first got married, we didn't work at all. We just kind of taking it easy. And then we decided to start working. And then COVID happened. So we kind of got delayed in that whole process. So we started working together. And I think at first it was a little bumpy, only because we thought that we could transfer like our relationship at home into like a business relationship. And it's not like that. So we kind of went through some bumps, but then we sat down and we figured out how to work together. And I think the most important thing was really kind of figuring out whose roles, what we were each going to do in our business, so that we weren't constantly trying to do the same thing. Because, I came from a background, I worked in corporate America for a long time. I had a great job. Paul owned all these businesses. He was very successful. So it was two very successful people wanting to be the boss in a business, right? And so we had to really sit down and write, like, what are you going to do in this company, and what are you going to do, and how can we complement each other? And once we decided to get that framework together, it's been fantastic. And we have actually written what we call business vows, and our retreat in November that we're going to be having, and that's why it's a couples retreat, because we're really going to help couples and partners sit down and write out their business vows so they can have a really badass business and marriage and family life by marrying those two together, so they're very harmonious and that they reach their goals in both of those parts of their lives. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
I don't think being in business as a couple is for everybody.
Yeah, lots of people can't do it.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Not a thing in the world wrong with that. But if it is for you, then you can't really mail it in. You have to go all in. And you have to set up some parameters. And like she said, where we started was, okay, what are you good at? What am I good at? Where is your lane? What is my lane? Now let's do the best that we can to stay in our lanes, so that the end goal of having a better business, more real estate, those kinds of things get accomplished.
Mm-hmm. And so this is a formal planning process that you two have gone through, right?
Oh yeah. And we've codified it, and this is what we we share with couples, and we will be sharing with couples at the retreat as well.
And I think a big part of this, so a big part of my practice as a lawyer is handling partnership disputes. And I will say 9 times out of 10, it's the failure to have those difficult conversations, to formalize those conversations, even if they had those difficult conversations, which many times they haven't. But also then formalizing them, having them in a written format that's clear, that everybody has agreed upon, signed off on, that creates a lot of the partnership problems and the partnership disputes. And as far as couples go that work together, that's a rarity that I've heard, that they've really sat down and formalized and thought through it and have something in writing about what their respective lanes are. How much time have you both spent on that, and what other insights do you have on that?
We have spent a lot of time on it.
Yeah.
Probably more time than Paul wants to spend on it. Because he doesn't like it so much. But I love it because I'm a goal person, right?
She's goals and planning.
Goals and plans, and what are we doing, how we're doing it, who's doing it.
I'm like,
he's like, all right.
Let pedal to the metal, let's go. Whoever comes.
Let's get it done.
Yeah.
But what's funny, what's funny is that we actually have a licensed marriage and family therapist, concierge couples coach coming to our retreat, because the number one problem that people have is conflict, and everybody is scared of conflict, right? She's just written a book. She's going to be coming to our retreat and talking at how to have the best fight of your life, how you can take the things that are wrong in your relationship, your partnership, and really take that conflict and turn it into something very beautiful and something that you can really grow in, right? And like you said, that's why most of your people, because they just didn't want to do the conflict. It was just like too uncomfortable for them. Well, we're going to teach people how to get really comfortable with conflict and see it as it really is. That is the path to go to get to what you want. So we're super pumped about that.
Good. Yeah, that might save a number of relationships, marriages, and businesses.
Yeah, we think so.
Yeah. If two people come together that are romantic. Okay, so obviously we're in a romantic relationship. We're husband and wife. And if two people in that situation come together, they can really be a force. They can be a powerful force in the world, and for good, in their community, in their business, in their industry, in their chosen field. They can really be someone that can make an impact. And I think that that's one thing that we've done is we've said, okay, one of our big purposes here is we want to make an impact. And as long as we keep that at the forefront, that's a thing that we're always looking at, then that right there helps us resolve a lot of the conflicts that could potentially happen. It's like, okay, that doesn't fit into the bigger picture. Let's keep the eye on the prize. The bigger picture is, and then that immediately squashes any kind of argument that could surface. And it's not, listen, let's be frank here. It's not that we don't have tussles, right?
They don't last very long.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They don't.
We don't have time for all that.
They don't last very long. Like literally sometimes between, from the kitchen to the living room, they're gone. Okay, so which is part of what we made a choice about. A lot of companies, a lot of people have a mission statement, a vision statement. They have their goals set out, but do they also have non-negotiables? So like, what will we not stand for? And one thing that we will not stand for is letting the air be thick for a long time about, anything. Stupid stuff. So, because at the end of the day, it's usually stupid stuff. And so that's like a non-negotiable for us. And so there are, non-negotiables, like we talked a little bit about earlier about working with the right people. Okay. So a non-negotiable for us in life and in business is we're not going to work with people that we don't like, that we can't vacation with, that we can't have our kids around, that we can't, have meals with. That's a non-negotiable for us, as an example.
Yeah, we did some EOS training. It was so funny. Everybody put on the stuff that was most important, and mine was like, we got to have fun at work. If we can't have fun at work, I'm not working here. But it was like a real thing. It's like, how do we have fun at work every day, right? Because I don't want to wait to go on vacation to have fun. I want to have fun every single day. And Paul and I, one of our things, when we met each other, we did a list of like what we wanted in another person that we found and what we love to do with ourselves. And at the top of both of our list was adventure. So if I can't have adventure in my life, then I don't want to do something with you. Like if you're not the person that can bring me adventure, then I'm not interested. No, thank you. So, and we pretty much live that.
I think so. Yeah.
I like that. The CAO, the Chief Adventure Officer.
Yes.
Hey, let's go.
All these enterprises.
Yep.
That's your role. You got it.
I do. I do.
That's your role.
So, Paul, Letitia, where can our listeners find you? Where can they learn more about your retreat or your retreats if they're looking for more information?
MontelongoCapital.com. So at MontelongoCapital.com, you'll have our social media links. You'll have our events tab. You'll have our mentoring tab. You'll have our portfolio tab, ways to invest with us, ways to do business with us, ways to follow us on socials, because we offer lots of education for free on social. So everything is held at MontelongoCapital.com. There's also ways to book discovery calls with us and meetings, with us if you've got a deal that looks really juicy and you want to talk to somebody about it. So Montelongo Capital is the place to go.
Got it. And maybe you want to spell that for the listeners, just in the case that somebody doesn't spell perfectly.
Montelongo Capital.com.
And I have no doubt the listeners would have gotten it because they're excellent spellers who listen to this podcast.
It's okay.
But just in case.
A little while to learn it too.
Yeah. And to the listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe so you can hear when the next episode drops with excellent guests, knowledgeable guests like Paul and Letitia Montelongo. Thank you all so much for joining me today, Paul and Letitia. Thank you both for joining me today and giving us some of your tips, tricks, and hacks along this entrepreneurship and relationship journey.
Good to be with you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.